Awesome. All right. Hey, guys. I am here with my amazing client, Kerry, who in the last 12 months has gone from a lot of fear around the scale, snacking in secret, spiraling after weigh-ins, and feeling completely wired for survival, to shifting some difficult weight, dropping some clothes sizes, and eating freely without restriction, and getting on the scales out of curiosity instead of fear. So we're going to talk about some of the things that were really helpful for Kerry, and so that they might be really helpful for you. So first and foremost, I appreciate you so much for jumping on last minute, Kerry. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, Before we start, I would love to hear what was kind of going on for you. Where were you when we first met? What had you done and what were you experiencing?
I had gone on so many diets, yo-yo dieting, Weight Watchers, I think restrictive eating, anything that was out there, I had tried.
Hmm.
Um, and I was always yo-yo dieting, yo-yo weighing, the weight was going up, the weight was going down. It was very depressing. It wasn't healthy because I wasn't eating properly. Um, Weight Watchers made me spiral totally out of control, because we had to weigh ourselves. And I remember one night, one fellow saying, "Oh, you've put on 500 grams. What have you been doing wrong?" And that had stuck with me for so long, for so many years. And that's why I was so scared about getting on the scale.
Mm,
Um, every time I put on, like, 100 grams, 200 grams, it was like the world was ending.
mm,
Um, I was trying to control everything, being too much in control, which was not helpful to me. The scale had so much power. It created my moods. So I hadn't stepped on the scale until I met you, and for 5, 6 years, something like that, because I was always afraid of doing it because the weight it held, literally and metaphorically, the weight it held in my brain, and moods, depression, spiraling, was just too much to control, too much to do. Um, Also, I've had a habit for many, many years, as I'm sure other people have had as well, is, while you're cooking, you're automatically putting something in your mouth and not realizing that all those extra bits added so many more calories. And that's why nothing was happening, you know? Um, and I know I'm not alone in doing this, that you go to the fridge or you go to the cupboard, you open the door and you go, "Oh, what's there to eat?" You're not even hungry, but you've got that mindset that you just need to eat and eat and eat. So you'd go to the cupboard, 5 minutes, there was nothing there. 5 minutes later, you go and open the same cupboard or the same fridge door, hoping or thinking that something was going to miraculously appear,
hmm
um, and hoping that it would. But that was really hard. So those sorts of things I had coming into the sessions with you, was very hard. Trying to step on the scale. I know I waited a long time before I stepped on the scale. There was lots of coaxing from you, but I couldn't do it because I was terrified that my mood was going to go berserk. I was going to get very cranky with myself, cranky with everyone around me, um, just be really horrible to people because I'd put on 100 grams. And I think years ago, by doing this, I didn't realize what was actually going on with your body when you get on the scales.
hmm
Like, if you've lost, you've gained. It's not all about what you've eaten. It's about a whole lot of other things in your life that's going on. Um, so I think now that's given me a lot more knowledge.
hmm
The scale doesn't have that much power on me anymore. Um, as you said, I'm using it more as a an experiment now.
hmm hmm
I still get anxious stepping on the scale. Don't get me wrong,
hmm
but not as anxious as I was initially.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
and now, if I I put on 100 grams, but whatever it is, I can now say to myself logically, well, what have I been doing? I now have the tools to know how to get myself back to where I want to be,
Yeah,
and
100%.
not
And
through
that's
dieting. Yeah, not through being hard on yourself.
mm,
It's logical what I can do now. I have the tools. I feel more confident and competent in being able to do that.
that's amazing. So um before we joined, you said that you'd done loads of dieting before, right? So Weight Watchers, loads of rule-based and controlled style eating, counting calories. So you
Yeah,
tried many things before we started working together. Okay. Um,
definitely.
and the scale just felt like this big enemy to you, and it really had a lot of power over you. So I remember you saying that you would get on the scale, and then that would just determine your mood and your energy and everything afterwards for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week. And going to Weight Watchers and being publicly shamed sounds absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, it was. It was not good for the soul, not good for the brain, not good for anything actually. And I
Right.
think that even made my habits and my thought patterns worse
Yeah.
because you felt, if someone said, "Oh, you've put on weight," and how did that happen? It was like, "Oh, well, it's wrong of me to do that. I feel ashamed,"
Mm,
and
mm.
I think that actually increased the fear of the scale.
Right. So there was a lot of shame and a lot of fear around it.
Mm.
And that was
Yeah,
driving you to eat at the kitchen, in the kitchen without your family, right? Because I know that eating at the counter and raiding the cupboard, as you said, hoping that something would just magically come up, was where you were at.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to do that, or I didn't want the family to know I was doing that because I was embarrassed. So
right.
I would sort of feed them, and
Mm,
then once they'd sort of finished their meals and gone to bed, gone whatever, then I would like binge,
mm,
and have my meals then. Whereas now I'm actually sitting down at the table to eat my meals, whether it's
mm-hmm,
myself, whether it's by myself or with my partner
mm-hmm,
or with friends, family. I'm
mm-hmm,
doing that now and I feel comfortable. I feel
mm-hmm,
comfortable doing that. The knowledge I've gained, going out to meals, going out for lunch or dinner, I never used to do that. Or if I did, it'd be like I'd have just a basic salad and then eat when I got home. Whereas now I have the tools that I can make informed decisions when I do go out for meals. I
mm-hmm,
don't feel apprehensive.
mm-hmm,
I feel much more comfortable now knowing that I can make a more informed decision and one that's going to sit with my goals.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And speaking of goals, you've reached your goal weight, so we're now in maintenance, right?
Sorry,
So
just
you've reached your
lost you at the
goal,
end.
yeah, you've reached your goal weight, so you're now in maintenance. So you've dropped over 8 pounds to get down to your goal. But most importantly, you've been able to manage that and maintain that.
Even over Christmas,
Even over
you know.
Christmas. Yes, no gaining weight over Christmas, which is
No,
amazing.
I was.
Uh,
I was quite impressed.
yeah, fitting into smaller clothes, smaller sizes. So yeah, eating balanced meals and leaving food on your plate when you didn't used to.
Yeah. Um, when I was, a lot of us sort of a little bit older, when we were brought up, it was all about, eat everything on your plate. You're not getting up from the table unless you eat everything. So of course that's, ground into you. So now I actually do leave food. I can understand my hunger signs and my fullness signs. And
Mm-hmm,
that's really huge for me because I would eat a meal,
mm-hmm,
eat and eat until I felt sick or I
mm-hmm,
had to go and have a lay down,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because you'd have so many pains in your stomach sort of thing from that.
mm-hmm,
So that is huge now that I know when I'm hungry, I know when I'm full, I used to come home from the gym, and the first thing that I'd do when I got in the door was go and have breakfast straight away. That was a habit I got into. Now it's not a habit. It's occasionally that might happen if I'm really hungry and I know that I need to eat now.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I'll go about my day and I do all my other things until I actually start feeling hungry. Then I'll actually be thinking about a meal.
That is huge. Can I just interrupt you there? So you've gone from being part of the Clean Plate Club because that's just who you've been, quote unquote, right? So you've come from there to uh, also feeling a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of um, hiding, secret eating, cupboard raiding, pantry raiding. So you've gone from that person to the person who I'm talking to right now. And I'm not just saying this because we're on a video and we're on record. Like you have significantly changed your habits, the way that you act and react and think on purpose. And everything is, I thought this and then I changed it, Bianca, and now I think this. And this is then going to change the trajectory of my day. Whereas beforehand it would have changed it for the worse. Now it actually changes it for the better. So now you're leaving food behind and it's not even bothering you, right? You're preparing for camping trips and Christmases and eating out and you're not blowing it out of the water because you're planning ahead and you're thinking intentionally. I remember you said that you'd always steal the chips off of your partner's plate.
So I haven't done that for a while.
And you haven't done that for a while, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, But most importantly for you, I think the biggest thing in our journey is changing that relationship with the scale so it doesn't own you and you own it.
Exactly. Exactly. I still get a little bit anxious standing on the scales, and but nowhere near um, the anxiety I would get getting on the scales.
Yeah, I mean you
You
hadn't weighed
know?
yourself for 5 years and now you weigh yourself every day out of curiosity, not out of
Yeah.
judgment, not out of shame, not out of punishment cycles, but just
Yeah.
genuinely curious.
Yeah. And just to understand how my body um, how my body reacts, to
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
What am I putting in it that's meeting my goals? What am I putting in it that's not meeting my goals?
And
You know, rather
I
than
also
the calculator.
Yeah, the big calculator. And I also want to kind of just jump in here and throw in this curveball a little bit, because you now want to become a motivator. Like you're shifting from this is who I am to this is who I am, and I want to share this, right? So you're even thinking about taking up nutrition. You're doing a lot of self-development. Like I'm probably going to be hiring you as my co-coach very soon because I love this shift that you have made, and now you're stepping into the leadership shoes. It's like, hang on a minute, I've experienced this for myself. I want to share this with other people. And I think that's amazing. That's so incredible.
I do that at work. Um, People have noticed a change in me.
Yeah,
Yes, about the clothes and about the size of you and all that sort of stuff, but more importantly about how healthy you look.
absolutely.
Someone said to me the other day at work, you're just looking so healthy, happy, healthy, fit, and I went, oh, that's really good. And then everyone says, oh, what are you doing? I said, oh, I always spoke plant-based eating. And I always say to them, this is, I don't know, it's a good way for me to be. It may not be for anyone else, but this is how I feel comfortable now, how I feel so healthy. um, you know, if you're off medication, so many people say that they're off medication just by eating plant-based.
Mhm.
Excuse me. I could not go back to eating meat. And I didn't do it because of the animals. I mean, I love animals, don't get me wrong, but I did it for my health. I have
Powerful.
so much more energy. My eyes are clearer. My skin's clearer. I don't have blemishes like a lot of people do. I don't have pimples. I don't have acne. Um, you know, I go and get health checkups at the doctor, and they say, oh, whatever you're doing, keep doing it
Hmm.
because you're very healthy. and
This
healthy for my age as well, which is where I want to be. That's very important for me.
Amazing. And I want to really highlight that because this journey hasn't just been about weight loss for you. It was about changing the habits, changing the mindset, stopping that internal dialogue that's just shaming and judging and telling you off and being that like that horrible, like a very horrible, not even a parent at this stage, just this deep self-critical negative thinking and just shifting that has been huge. So I love that you say that because this journey for you isn't about the weight. You know, we've not gone 200 to 100 pounds. We've not lost 100 pounds. You've gotten to your goal weight, which is the most important thing. But you've also shifted the way that you think, the way that you feel, and the way that you act. And that is the biggest transformation for you because you're gunning for optimal health, and weight loss was just a symptom for that. Weight loss was a side
Yeah,
effect.
exactly. It was a bonus.
That's
You
gold,
know,
gold.
think, having all these tools that are going to make me successful, carrying on now, that I feel that confidence that I can, I'll go out to dinner or lunch or something, and I can now make an informed decision
Hmm.
how that meal is as close to the magic plate that it can be. I'll pick meals to pieces to find out which is the best option for me and is going to align with my goals. Not necessarily the one that has the less calories,
Hmm.
but the one that is aligning with my goals.
Hmm. That's amazing. That's beautiful. So, okay, I've taken up enough of your time. I would love to hear three of the things that were just the most helpful for you along this process.
The magic plate. I always speak about the magic plate because it's so simple. You know, um, Listening to my body cues. As I said before, I would eat until I was stuffed, and feeling uncomfortable, feeling sick. I now don't do that. I know when I'm hungry, and I know when I'm full,
Hmm.
and I'm not, I'm not afraid to leave food on my plate.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean I haven't enjoyed it. Just means I've had enough for my body. And to
Amazing.
reach that, I reach that, what is it, 70, 80% instead of 100%, where I still feel satiated, but I don't feel overly full.
Hmm.
Um, and I suppose the biggest one for me, emotionally as well, is the scale.
Mm.
Or as you used to, how you got me on there was by saying the big calculator.
Hmm.
And that really helped me turn my thought patterns around for getting on that scale. And it's not an enemy anymore. It's just a tool.
Hmm. Hmm. Amazing. So learning how to build, because the magic meal plate is just a framework that we use, right? It's not. I'd say I was going to say it's nothing magic, but it fucking is clearly.
It's
So
magic.
building balanced plates that work for health and that works for weight loss as a side effect.
Inadvertently. Yeah, that's right.
uh, Instead of restricting. So increasing meal sizes, increasing volume, which is something that we actually haven't mentioned that you mentioned before that you've done. So increasing meal
Okay.
sizes, adding proper fats, making sure you're getting your carbs, making sure that you're having protein, having those balanced plates in the right balance. Listening to your hunger. So really getting really freaking good at stopping at 75% full, putting your calorie down, boxing food up instead of taking it away. And stopping eating off of your husband's plate because you're being so freaking mindful about the food that you're eating. Amazing. And
That's
then
exactly right.
brilliant. And then changing the way that you talk about yourself and changing the way that you view the scale. So it isn't something that you use as a punishment. It's not something that you use as a reward. That's your habits, right? How well have I done my habits? How well have I stuck to that? But the scale is just a point of feedback at this stage.
That's exactly right.
Amazing. Amazing. Listen, I know I just threw this interview on you last minute and I so very much appreciate this. So just to recap, you've gone from lifelong dieting, fear in the scale, snacking in secret, feeling like you're completely wired for survival, catastrophizing situations and potentials, spiraling after weigh-ins, to getting to your goal weight, dropping clothing sizes, eating freely without restriction, managing stress without sugar, getting on the scale with curiosity, and actually feeling calm, like more calm, more in control, stepping into leadership shoes, may I say. Um, and your top tips were to eat balanced plates, follow the magic plate system, honor your hunger and fullness, and do the mindset work, do the thought work.
It's the important part too. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Did I get that right? Is there anything else? No.
I think that's pretty much everything.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd really like to share with someone? Maybe they're like on the fence thinking about whether they want to join, whether they want to pull their finger out and change their habits. Is there anything that you'd like to say to those women at the back?
Definitely pull your finger out. Definitely. Um, don't be afraid. You know, it's hard work. Yes, it is. But if we want to improve ourselves, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be simple stuff. We have to delve deeply into a lot of things. And it's not just what you put in your mouth, you know. So it's been a game changer for me. The last 12 months or the time I've been with you is has just helped me immensely. And not just about my eating, it's about how I think about things, my relationships with my family, with my partner, the relationship with food, the relationship with the scale. There's just so many unbelievable benefits.
I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss chatting with you.
Don't start me off. You know
If
what?
you want to become best friends with your clients, then I'm definitely the one. No, again, thank you so much for jumping on this call. You are an absolute legend. You're a true inspiration for women who beat themselves up for fearful of the scale, who let that scale just hold so much power over them. You are beautiful evidence that you can change the way that you think, the way that you act, the way that you behave, and ultimately your results. When you focus on health and stop obsessing about weight. Chef's kiss. You're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on this call. I'm going to finish the recording